Good day. My name is Colleen Evans, and I am applying for the Dean of School Climate and Culture position at Monterey Peninsula Unified School District. And here's my presentation. So first, I wanted to walk us through the agenda of this presentation and just the key concepts that I'm going to be highlighting. First, I wanted to come together with a positive student achievement type of program or workshop. And so I'm going to be leading us through the rationale and purpose of why I chose this, the key stakeholders that will be addressed, data points to really back up why I am choosing to do these workshops and hold these seminars, and then lastly, a proposed timeline and budget. So let's go ahead and just dig in first to the rationale and purpose. And I'm taking a quote from Nathan Minard. This is from the book Hacking School Discipline. We have two choices. We can try to correct behavior by continuing to punish or spend time building relationships, getting down to the root of issues, and truly helping students repair the harm they caused. And the reason I pull this as a grounding or rationale for this presentation is because from UNICEF, over 130 babies are born per year in the world. Some of these babies are born into families that are loving and excited, and they cradle their newborn in their arms with such joy and excitement. Yet there are other students and children who are born into a world where their families wanted something different. And so the reason I bring up these numbers and these statistics is because no matter who these students are, as an educator, it is our job to welcome them and to build relationships and get to the root issues. And really, the only way we can do that is through acknowledging our experiences, or what I call positionality. Those are the intersections of our race, our gender, our social class, the language that we speak, as well as many other factors. And until we're able to embrace that positionality and truly understand who our students are as well as our community, then we can start to celebrate student success and all school connectedness. And so recently in 2022, Rodriguez and Wells, they came up with a research study. It was actually held in the New York public school system where they were able to conceptualize school discipline, and they led different data points of what was perceived student misbehaviors along with the consequences given in office referrals. And they used a quote vicious cycle to actually describe how teachers' perceptions led to harsher treatment of racially stigmatized students or minoritized students. And that actually reinforced negative mindsets and behaviors among the students. And so that idea of a cycle or repetitive behavior kept feeding from the adult to the students. And you might ask, why am I bringing this up? Well, I think it's important when we're celebrating an all school community type of event or workshop that all school connectedness is critical to promoting a positive, healthy, and supportive culture in any school district. But the way in which we approach that connectedness must also match the needs of the community. And those needs cannot be the perception of the adults who have been there, but rather actually lifting their voices from multiple key lenses. And so the event that I'm going to describe in this presentation, or actually events, is a series that happen once a month, because when we want to embrace students' needs, we cannot do that in a one single celebration or workshop or class, but rather it must be consistent and frequent. So I'm going to propose monthly community circles. And the premises of these circles is a way to bridge families, students, and staff members. So each month would feature a session on a relevant topic that the community would benefit from and have the opportunity to connect with each other in a very non-threatening environment where everyone is welcomed. So what I like to use is surveys, but I use this visual of tree mapping because we have to bridge the trees to survey these various stakeholders and really kind of find out what are the needs. So we set out a series of surveys to students, to families, and to staff. And from there, we would align those needs on what are relevant topics, what are things that the community is looking to gain more knowledge on and embrace. And that way, instead of seeing the trees, we begin to see the forest and we begin to learn together and really create this community where we are learning together. So something that I have learned from the University of Southern California, where I'm currently seeking a doctorate in educational leadership, is CHAT, or broken down to the cultural historical activity theory. And these various configurations of triangles really help us to delve and to see a visual representation when we're presenting a new workshop or initiative. These are the different components that we have to consider. And so I'm going to be using this as a reference. So going into the stakeholders, this comes from Dr. Pedro Noguera, that choosing which stakeholders to serve should not be exclusive, but rather we must serve everyone. And so when I'm talking about the subjects or stakeholders, I'm really talking of the difference between equality and equity. And so these monthly workshops, they would be live once a month. For example, like the second Tuesday of every month, and they would be given a specific time. There would be different breakout sessions where they're teaching the same topic, but in different languages. And we'll get to that in just a moment with the data points on what Monterey Peninsula, their English language learners really look like and matching that. But we also know that's not the reality. Many families, students, staff members have other commitments outside of the school day or outside of the hours that we can put into practice. And so being able to live stream these events so people can join them from their home or from their car, from their cell phone, is another opportunity to really make sure we are reaching more stakeholders, because we want the message to get out there to as many people as possible to begin to build a foundation of common language. And then additionally, besides the live event and the live stream, that following Friday, when a weekly newsletter would go out to the community, there would be a recorded presentation. And that is done by the presenters themselves. That's just a shortened version. So that way you have a takeaway, or if you need to go back and refer to notes, the community can do that, but also it gives an opportunity to get the message out in a third modality. So the data points, really important. Why am I choosing these monthly workshop sessions? Well, according to Monterey Peninsula Unified, one of the focuses for the local control and accountability plan for the 2022-2023 school year was to build a positive and healthy culture. And so MPUSD states that we are promoting a positive, healthy culture supporting academic success and student well-being. And so these workshops really come together to support both the academic side, but the students' well-being side, because we know, based on Maslow's hierarchy, psychological safety, basic needs must come first before we can get into academic success. So pulling from the California State Board of Ed, the English language learners here that are coded on the left side of the screen is really broken down from 2017 to 2022. And you can really see a high influx of English speaking community students, members, as well as Spanish. And so that says that these sessions really need to be held in both. So it's a dual language program. Additionally, I wanted to pull suspension rates based off of race and ethnicity to see where are there higher numbers. Now, it's significantly gone down, which is impressive from 2017 to 2022. However, we do see a rate between Filipino, Hispanic, or Latino, or mixed, two or more races, as being a little bit higher with our suspension rates. And so we really want to make sure that we're honing in on that community as well as all the other cultures. And then lastly, attendance, because truancy can be a huge piece of the puzzle. If students are not coming to school, there's a very high likelihood that they don't feel connected to the community, or their family does not value and feel connected to the community. So how do we welcome everybody in to Monterey Peninsula? And so again, taking these numbers, they are going down. In terms of attendance. And this could be due to a lot of different factors. COVID-19 had a huge influence from remote learning back to in-person or the hybrid, where we're starting to notice higher truancy rates. And so we want our students to come to school, to be excited to come and to learn. But again, we need to base that psychological safety and making sure that the community has a brave space to have dialogue and to learn and to evolve. So using those data points, I want to propose a timeline. And these would be the tools portion of that visual from chat. And also the divisions of labor. Who's going to do what? And so working in collaboration with the Basic Needs Center in Monterey Peninsula, really to address the issues of the community. And these are just some representations that the district is already doing. What a great way to collaborate. So I would propose this type of sample. And of course, it's fluid, it can move around, but in September, leading a workshop about building a restorative community, and we'll get into the specifics. And then I've outlined October, a bullying focus, November, social media, December, peer advisory or peer jury, January, mental health, February, vaping and smoking effects, March, de-escalating conflict, April, detoxing from a digital world, and May, community partnerships, which really would stem over into the summer vacation and different organizations and opportunities that the community would have. So in September, we want to kind of disrupt the stereotypes of what is a restorative community. And so this would be just a very short outline of what would be covered. Each workshop would start with a grounding exercise, as well as a welcome and a check-in, really to make it fun, sometimes pulling different emojis. If you could live anywhere, where would you live? Kind of those introductory type questions to get people talking. It's not meant to be just a top-down presentation, but rather sitting in circle and hearing everyone's thoughts on these various topics. October focuses on bullying, and there's this picture here to really show the difference on the left-hand side of what we might picture in our mind as a bully versus the reality, and that there's often more factors than just the bully and the victim. There's a reinforcer, there's of course the bully and the target or the victim, but often there's also outsiders and assistants, and being very clear and intentional with the definition and embracing this culture of being upstanders. November, social media, really focusing on the data of anxiety and social media platforms that adolescents are using, as well as adults, and just, again, bringing awareness to the community on those effects. In December, focusing on a peer advisory or peer jury, which is an intervention and prevention program. It's really important for students to hear from their peers rather than just the adults. It makes their choices a little bit more meaningful to hear different perspectives and through the lens of their peers than just their adults. And so going through the community of what peer advisory looks like and breaking down those components. And then January, again, disrupting the stereotypes of mental health, going through the numbers of adolescents currently in the United States. Anxiety is hit with over 5 million adolescents who suffer from anxiety and 6 million who have been formally diagnosed with ADHD. Looking at those numbers, I think is really important to then be able to put together the biological, the environmental, and the psychological factors that all pertain to mental health. February would be focused on vaping and smoking, and Partners for Peace, which is a program already used by Monterey Peninsula, could work in conjunction with this and using the statistics from teens with e-cigarettes and why they might choose to do that, and putting into place some other choices and lifestyle. March, de-escalating conflict, different strategies, breathing techniques, different ways that adults can actually de-escalate conflict with students, and students can de-escalate conflict amongst their peers as well. And then April, detoxing from a digital world, similar to the social media presentation. However, this is focused more on Chromebook usage, phone usage, just the amount of screen time that we all are spending in the world that we live in today. And then lastly would be community partnerships. And I know the After School Academy, or ASA, is something that Monterey uses really with the Community Partnership for Youth, or CPY, and just offering different incentives and programs for the summer. And lastly, the budget. This would be a 9-month total type of workshop series. It would kick off in September and go all the way through May. Based on salary, just looking up the numbers for Monterey Peninsula, the average can be between $12.50 to $43.47, depending on the years of service for a staff member. So I average that together. You would have at least 2 presenters per month presenting for about an hour. So that would be about $504 a year. Water and snacks would also be factored in. And so we're reaching about a total of just over $3,000 for 9 months of workshops, which really is on a low end when you're thinking that this is meant to be for all stakeholders, and that this is not just going to be a live session where maybe 5 people show up, but it will be live streamed. It will also be recorded in various languages with subtitles. And so you're trying to get this message out to as many people in the community. So lastly, I'll leave it up to the committee for questions. Thank you for taking time to watch this presentation. I am really honored to even be considered for this position, and I look forward to meeting you all very soon in person. Thank you.